So we know that Selenium automates browser, but what do you understand by automating a browser? Suppose you want to create an account on Gmail. Then you will go to Gmail sign up page. Then here you need to enter your first name, last name, and then you need to click on next. So let me fill quickly. Then I will see another form and I need to follow all the forms to complete the sign up process. If I ask you to create one more account on Gmail, then you need to follow the same steps again. But if I ask you to create 100 accounts on Gmail, then it will be tiring for you and we are doing the repetitive work only. So if somehow we can create a script which will automatically perform all the steps for us for a given set of data, then that will be awesome. And whatever steps we need to follow here, those we are performing on a browser, in this case Chrome. So anything which is happening in a browser, that can be automated using the Selenium WebDriver. Anyway, we use the Selenium WebDriver majorly for the test automation, but the capabilities of Selenium is not limited. You can use the Selenium for any repetitive work performed in a browser. So to create an account on Gmail, we need to enter our first name and last name and we need to click on next. Here we can visualize these elements. So we can easily enter the values and perform the action. But when we create the script, how your script will know that where is my element or on which field I need to perform the action, because your script cannot visualize these elements. We need to tell them explicitly where the element is. So whatever element you see here, this is called web elements. For example, first name is a text box, last name is a text box, then we have some text here which might be headers, and we have a button here. So these are called web elements, and every web element will have an identifier which can be used to locate them uniquely. Now the question is how to get the locator of any web element. That we need to get it from the page source of a web page. A website might contain multiple web pages. Like this create Gmail account is the one web page of your Gmail, and when we fill the first name, last name and click on next, then we'll get the another web page. So every web page will have a page source. How to get the page source? Don't worry, you don't need to ask anything from your developer. We can use the browser itself to get the page source. To get the page source of this web page, you need to right click anywhere, and at the bottom you can see one option, view page source. Click on this and it will open another tab where you can see a lot of code, and this is called page source of the web page. Ideally from here we need to get the locator of every element for which I need to perform the action through my Selenium WebDriver. If you want to get the details of any specific element, then you need to select that element, then right click on that element and click on inspect. So the highlighted part here is the specific part associated with the element you inspected. So whatever page source you see here, this is made of 3 components: HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and we are going to learn very basics of these 3 components in this video. So suppose I ask you to create a sign up page for Gmail, then you will come up with a design. Okay, I am going to ask first name, last name, age, address, gender from the user, and I will provide a control to create the account, and if they want to cancel in between, there will be a cancel button, and also I can provide a reset button. After completing the design, we need to actually create that. So to create that design, we need a language called HTML hypertext markup language. It is used to structure a web page. Means you need to create some text boxes, you need to create some buttons, you need to click on links, you need to give some paragraph, headers or etc. Those things we need to create using HTML. And HTML is not a programming language, it is a markup language. For example, if you want to create this type of sign up page, so this is my text box, first name, and if I inspect this first name, then it is opening this particular component of your page source, and here you can see it starts with input tag. So in HTML, if you want to create a text box, then we need to use input tag with the type equal to text. So this type attribute will say that what kind of input element it is, because we might have button, we might have checkboxes, we might have radio buttons. So you need to pass one attribute called type with the proper value to decide which kind of input element you want to create. So inspect this next button, go to inspect, and here you can see it is created using a button tag and type is button. So when we create any element in HTML, we can pass attributes to it. What do you understand by attribute? A person will have name, height. Name and height are attributes of that person. Similarly, for this h1 we have some attributes here. So left hand side of equal, this is called attribute name, and after equal to, that is called value. So one element may have multiple attributes, and these attributes will help us to identify elements uniquely in upcoming videos. Now when we are done with the designing the web page using the HTML, we need to provide a style to it. Means if you want a particular text to be a different color, or if you want to put the alignment, those things we need to perform using another language called CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. So this is a language that styles your web element and contents. It is not a programming language, it is not a markup language, it is a style sheet language. You can use the CSS for paragraph color, font size, letter spacing, alignment, etc. Let me show you with an example. On the Google search page, the Google search button has background color as gray. So if you inspect this element, you can see this is a input and type is submit. So if you want to click any button which can be used as a submitting the information, then you can use the type equal to submit as well. That is coming from HTML. And here we have a attribute called class, and we have a value. So if you want to provide a style to this particular element, we can use this class name, or we can use some HTML part of it. If you see right hand side, we have something called input where type is equal to submit, and when we inspected this element, automatically right hand side we can see the CSS associated with this particular element. So if you see here, it is started from dot, and this is the class name. So class name will start with the dot in styles tag, and here we have something called input where type is submit. So wherever we have an input tag where we have type equal to submit, all these properties will be applicable to that particular element. So let me prove my point. You see one property background color which is gray. Click on this gray icon and you can select any value. You can see the background color of your button is changed, and you can see it has been changed for I am feeling lucky button as well, because for this I am feeling lucky button also you will have the type equal to submit. To inspect any element, we can use this option here as well. You need to select this one and drop on the element. So you can see this has been highlighted where value is I am feeling lucky, and if you come here you can see here type is submit. So we change the property of this particular attribute type in my styles, and it was applicable for all the buttons. So that is the advantage of CSS. We can create the pattern and we can apply that pattern to multiple web elements. And here you can see we have different properties as well. You can put the border, then border with the radius, you can change the color, you can use the different font sizes, font families, etc. So everything is possible using the CSS. So HTML will just create the structure and provide a better look and feel. You need to use the CSS. Now the major component of this DOM called JavaScript, because without JavaScript my page is static. So why do we need to use the JavaScript? So suppose while creating the Gmail account, when user clicks on next, then actually Google need to look for if this particular user ID is already exist in database. Then they need to call some APIs after clicking on that next button, or after clicking on any button you need to show more HTML forms, or if a user is hovering on a element, then your menu will be displayed. When user is removing the focus from there, then menu should be hidden. All these things we can achieve using the JavaScript. And JavaScript is the heart of any web page. So JavaScript is a programming language which adds interactivity to a website to make it dynamic. And the last part, DOM, document object model, where document is HTML. So a DOM is a programming interface for a web document that represents the document as nodes and objects, and it is mainly used by JavaScript to access the element and change the properties or perform any action on that node. So for example, you must have noticed after filling some form, and when you click on submit, then that submit button will be grayed out for some time, because that time it is processing your information. So to disable that button or grayed out the button, JavaScript will be used. So JavaScript needs to know where is my element. For that they need to use the document object model. Using the document object model, JavaScript can locate that element and perform the actions on that. That means it can set the properties, it can remove the properties, or it can load extra HTML pages for it. So any web page will have majorly three components: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. To work with the Selenium WebDriver, you don't need to know everything about HTML, CSS and JavaScript, but the basics of HTML will help you to locate the element properly for our script. But if you want to learn more about HTML and CSS, you can refer the W3 school. They have a lot of good examples and topics. So that's all in this video. If you have any doubt, please comment on this video. If you really like my videos, please like, comment, subscribe and share with others. Thank you everyone.